Picture this: a winter night in Isfahan, January 1646. The palace lies under a sheet of moonlight so thin it seems to tremble. You move through corridors that have heard more secrets than prayers. The oil lamps gutter like nervous thoughts. Tonight the city sleeps while inside his walls, a fate is being prepared that will speak in smoke and ash for decades to come. You stand upon a raised balcony as Shah Abbas II. The courtyard below is a stage framed with stacked wood and torches. Soldiers whisper like iron wind. A crimson shawl, dark with an accusation, rests in a courtier's hands. The air smells of rose oil and wood smoke, but beneath it is the metallic scent of something else: fear. Some call you merciless. Others call you just. Tonight you will be asked to render judgment that will carve the memory of your reign. You will be told that obedience is law, that defiance must be crushed. You will be told that a queen has refused a command and that the throne must not be mocked. But truth rarely arrives neat and sealed. It comes in letters, in black wax and smuggled notes. It arrives in the shape of a shawl taken from a treasury and planted like a seed of deceit. By midnight you will taste the bitter choice between public power and private conscience, and the echo of that choice will last longer than your life. A kingdom burns when the throne chooses fear over truth. Before the flame swallows the queen, we must go back to how a court of loyalty and knives learned to speak in whispers, to the woman who refused to drink, and to the web that would force a sovereign to choose.
You know this palace intimately. The courtyard's geometry, the echo of your own footfall, the scent of lemon in the harem. The Safavid court is a theatre of power. You learned early that appearances are a currency. The weight of a robe, the cut of a diadem, the carriage of a body at prayer. Your advisors smile like mirrors, your enemies wear their smiles plainly. A queen in the harem is more than a consort. She is a political instrument, a nexus of loyalty, an emblem of dynastic honour. Wives and concubines are taught to obey, and obedience keeps the palace from tearing itself apart. Yet behind the silk curtains, alliances shift like wind. Favours are traded, grudges nurtured. A shawl misplaced, a goblet refused, a step taken at the wrong hour. Any of these can bloom into treason under the palace sun. Tonight's grievance begins with something small: a goblet, a refusal, a word. The palace's etiquette is a map of loyalty. To refuse is to redraw the map. In a system where honour is a thread, you have spent your life keeping it taut. A stretched thread snaps, and the whole loom unravels. Courts are gardens of thorns. One refusal can draw blood. The refusal that becomes accusation is not random. Someone planted that shawl in the Queen's chamber. Someone understood how you govern by fear. We must follow that hand. You have watched her from a distance. The Queen, poised, quiet, not merely ornamental, but a woman with an intelligence you once admired. She speaks softly to the maids and sharper to the servants. She recognizes the difference between flattering noise and true counsel. She's not naive. She knows what happens to those who forget their place, and yet one small act sets everything in motion. At a court banquet, she refuses to drink wine. In the presence of the harem, where obedience is the currency of safety, the gesture reads as insolence. Some say she refuses for conscience. Others murmur she refuses for pride. The fact remains. A public defiance in your palace can be read as a challenge to your rule. The accusation is swift. A shawl stained with oil appears in her room, conveniently placed, convincingly damning. The Grand Vizier pronounces the offence as affront and rebellion. The machinery of punishment hums into motion. You, the Shah, are told the Queen defied you, and that the only remedy is spectacle, public humiliation, or worse. In private, the Queen tells her maid that obedience is a poison. She will not swallow it. Her calm is not weakness, but steel. You can see that in her face. Whether you respect that defiance or fear, it will define the night. One woman's no can topple an empire built by yes. The planted shawl is not coincidence. Someone with access to the treasury placed it there. Power, you know, attracts conspirators, and one of your own men has learned how to use your hand against you. As Shah, you're accustomed to receiving petitions sealed in crimson wax, but now a letter arrives with black wax, a tone reserved for omen and secrecy. It slides under the Queen's door like a whisper. When unfolded, it says more than ink could. If she burns, the throne burns with her. It warns that the palace is a stage for a larger game, that her death would not only terrify but fracture the realm. You watch as courtiers panic and plot in equal measure. The Grand Vizier, the man who stands closest to you, speaks with a steady voice that has saved you on many nights. But his counsel has always served a self-fashioned ambition. The court is a network of favours where a single thread pulled can collapse the whole tapestry. Another letter reaches you, this one from a captain loyal to the watch. It says the shawl was taken from the royal treasury, that hands you trusted hatched a plan to entrap the queen. For a moment something like thunder rumbles through you. Doubt. Your authority depends on certainty. A ruler who doubts loses the clarity to act. Yet you can see the risk. Show mercy now and appear weak tomorrow. Execute now and seed rebellion tomorrow. The choice is a razor between your heart and the state. Ink unbinds the truth, or binds the lie. The palace is awake now, its hidden machines clicking into motion. Names will be read, arrests made. But from arrest to revelation lies an abyss. Who will fall and who will rise?
Midnight arrives and the courtyard is a pit of flame and shadow. Soldiers march the queen out wrapped in the very shawl that was meant to condemn her. You hold both letters in your hand, one accuses, the other exposes. Your chest tightens with the old familiar ache of rule, the weight of a verdict that must please some and terrify others. A soldier interrupts with a sealed hook, evidence from beyond the queen's chamber. You read and your face goes pale. A trusted captain claims to have seen ministers place the shawl. The hand that plotted belonged to men near your own table. The vizier's eyes harden. He proclaims the document a forgery. Your mind flips through scenes like a gallery, each portrait a potential traitor. In the courtyard the flames leap up, hungry as rumor. When you cry, "Stop!" the torch halts and the crowd breathes as if freed from a spell. You name the first traitor, the Grand Vizier. Men gasp. He is seized. But one confession bursts, another whisper. He was following orders. The net widens. Then you name the second hand, the chief advisor, the man who arranged your pathways and tended your secrets. Both are paraded, shackled, and the court watches. They are men who once gave you congratulations and counsel. Now they are accused of using your court as an engine of ruin. The queen watches too, her face steady. She could step away now, live, reveal, unravel. Instead she says fate can wait. The deeper conspiracy must be uncovered. Justice in public is theater. Truth waits in private. 2 men are taken to the dungeons. Their screams will echo, but one will disappear. The fire is not over. This is only the first act. By dawn, one prisoner is missing. A cell torches itself, and someone has disappeared into smoke. The treasury has been plundered. The court trembles. Who among you could order such precision? The ring from the advisor is found near the vault, the signature of betrayal suddenly close to home. You order the gates sealed. Men you trusted are chained, others are questioned. A minor minister's handwriting is on a map of the secret passages. Footprints mark a back route into the treasury. Every discovery points to one truth: treachery isn't a single hand but a net woven across the palace. In the throne room, the queen pleads her case. If you want truth, spare her life. She says the conspirators will celebrate if she dies. The flames will become their victory. You feel the tug of two forces, the urge to make a statement now, and the need to unmask the hidden director of the plot. Night dissolves into morning and the palace holds its breath. A soldier arrives with a charred note. Words remain. Treasury, door will open tomorrow night. The theft was planned. Someone here knew your rhythms. A missing man is a door left ajar. The thief holds the keys. The missing advisor, where did he flee? The truth splinters across corridors. You must choose, punish swiftly to preserve fear, or delay to find the architect? The northern gate is attacked at dawn. Masked men pour through, chaos explodes. Your throne room becomes a blade-strewn battlefield. Amid the blood, your queen seizes a sword and fights at your side. For a moment you remember why you placed your trust in her. She is not merely cloth and counsel but a fierce presence who will stand when fire rains down. A front line of conspirators, one called Mirazahed, fights like a demon. He dies with a smile of prophecy on his face. The throne will fall. But even in victory, your men find a feather, an emblem, an Ottoman eagle. The attack has a foreign signature. What began as palace intrigue now smells of war. The queen stands among the dead, blood on her garment. Soldiers shout of spies and treasure sold to another throne. The treasurer's account is empty. Gold flows to the enemy. The palace is reeling. Traitors from within sold your lifeblood to those who would conquer you. You order the city sealed tighter, spies sent across borders. You demand the truth from the captive Isaf in the dungeons. He laughs, saying the strike is not over. His laughter echoes like an augury that will not be silenced. When courtiers sell kings, war is the price. The battlefield is a mirror. The enemy is both outside and inside. If the palace is corrupted, the borders will bleed. Your judgment tonight will decide whether the country can stand. You have a list of suspects: the treasurer, the vizier, the men you once named friend. Isaf is brought before you, chained, still smiling like a man who knows the punchline of a long, cruel joke. His words fall like stones. The treasure went to the Ottomans. Many of your lords and ministers are aligned with them. Names fall like pages of an indictment. The court reels. In that moment you must decide: burn the queen now as law demands, or spare her to root the rot. Her earlier refusal to drink becomes something else, a symbol of conscience in a court of robbers. She explains that she concealed the betrayal to gather proof and to spare you immediate ruin. She says she sought the right hour to rip the mask off the conspiracy, not to betray you, but to save the realm. You remember the faces of men you thought loyal. You remember that ink can be forged and rings can be planted. You feel the ancient, corrosive hunger of power. Now you must pay the tax of rule. You raise a torch. The wood trembles. The courtyard becomes an open mouth. For a handful of beats there is silence so loud your ears ring. Then you hear the maid's cry, the queen's faint prayer. Something in your chest, perhaps pity, perhaps recognition, pushes against the iron of your will. You have been taught that the throne is the only arbiter, that mercy is a luxury a ruler cannot afford. But you also know that empires are kept not by spectacle but by loyalty. And there is another truth: a ruler who burns his own love burns his own heart. The torch drops. Flames lick at silk. Flesh cries. The queen's voice becomes a rising, fierce thing, a condemnation and a benediction. The conspirators in the crowd who sought fear find instead a new terror, that in burning their chosen scapegoat, you have shown the world your capacity for final cruelty. As the queen's body is consumed, a rebel's laughter rises from the dungeons, Isaf's triumphant cry. You order him torn apart. The palace demands retribution and spectacle. The court looks on, some with relief, others with horror. The king who ordered the pyre will never smile the same way again. A throne that burns the heart soon rules an empty court. Burning the queen solved the immediate narrative, but for whom did you burn her? You crushed a symbol, but you may have consecrated a cause. The treasury is empty. The advisors you trusted lie in ruin or flight. The world watches. In the days after the fire, you pace like a man who has mislaid himself. The treasury is gone, alliances are raw. You send riders to seek the missing advisor. You tighten the city gates and scour the countryside for traitors. The Ottoman feather in the shrine tells you what you suspected. This was not simply house cleaning. It was a wound with tendrils reaching beyond your walls. The empire survives for the moment. You rule as a Shah who burned his own queen. Your power is intact, but the light in your eyes has been dimmed by the smoke you permitted to rise. You gain fear, and you lose something deeper: trust. Men will now read every mercy as weakness, and every act of ruthlessness will be weighed against that night. Historians will later call the queen's death a cautionary tale. A sovereign who consumes what he loves loses the capacity to hold true love at all. Prophets will claim divine wrath or blessing. Poets will write elegies. Your name will be whispered with the same breath as the word pyre. The missing advisor returns years later, captured or killed, it matters not for now, but the damage done by the theft and betrayal ripples outward. Borders wobble under the weight of lost gold. Noble houses change their loyalty like sails in wind. The Ottomans probe and test. The people speak less openly in the market, whisper more behind closed doors. Each winter you recall the queen's final words about truth and fire. And the maid, the quiet one who held the shawl and who watched the queen burn, keeps her silence till her grave. But the faint memory of her tale will be a small thing that sings in later stories, a note of human sorrow in the great record of empire. Empires remember not laws but the faces they have consumed. You have reasserted power by spectacle. But the real cost is quieter and slower. Trust erodes, gold flows out, and enemies smell weakness. The queen's flame will remain a pale ember in every house that once served you, a reminder that fear can rule, but fear rarely makes for a lasting kingdom. You survived that night. The throne remained your seat, your banner still flew. Yet you are not the man you were before midnight. You sit with maps spread, but you are haunted by the ash on your fingers that no water can wash. You have learned the terrible lesson rulers face. To govern is to decide what kind of heart you will have, a heart that wields justice, or a heart that burns indiscriminately. History will judge the night in many voices. Some will call you necessary, others monstrous. What is certain is this: when a ruler sacrifices love for obedience, he should not be surprised when obedience leaves him empty. In the hush after the torches die down, you hear the faintest sound, the distant clock of the bazaar, the muffled weep of a child, the whisper of a merchant closing his shop earlier than usual. These are the small measures of an empire's health. You have tended them with flame. Their response will shape the rest of your reign. When a throne chooses fire over truth, its shadow grows long and cold.